I can't be here right now. Like, I can't be on this Zoom call in this Bible study with you guys right now because of how much pain I feel. Like, somebody that looks like you did something like this to somebody that looks like me. I felt angry. Sup guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Timi and I film about faith, lifestyle, and a bunch of other stuff that I'm inspired or feel led to speak about. Whew. Today's video, as you guys can tell by the title, is probably going to be like a really sensitive thing. But initially I actually wasn't even going to make a video, but then I don't know, I watched another video by Belief in Fatherhood of him having the conversation with his kids about racism and about what it means to be a black person in the United States. I just felt like, you know, I just needed to talk about it and just like explain my perspective, and also share this little story time with you guys to just show you guys something very, very interesting that happened. So first of all, I would actually like to speak as to stuff that has been going on in my home country, Nigeria, the rape, sexual assault, and everything that has basically been happening, and how it's forcing many parents and people alike to have the conversations with their kids, with their spouses, with their siblings, things that they never were going to even talk about or broach before a certain age. I know that this is kind of forcing many kids to grow up really fast, but I feel like it's very, very necessary because there's a lot of things that have to change. Like, for real, a lot of things have to change, and it starts with having the proper conversations that we need to have. I think it's very common for female kids to be taught to do certain things in order to protect themselves from things like this, but parents are not having enough conversation with their male kids on how to be respectful towards women. Parents have to make a point of it to have those really difficult conversations with their kids and talk to both genders or both sexes the same, and raise them with the same amount of intentionality, because that is responsible for a lot of things that have happened over the past few weeks. People not really understanding certain concepts. Now, let me just say for a fact that there's some things that there's certain things that I would never have known if I didn't come here for school. First of all, I didn't even know, like, trust me, you're not going to know that you're black until you come to a country where racism is like everywhere. Until you come to the US, you're never going to know that you're black. And that was my own perspective. That was the thing that I realized, that until I came here, I didn't even know. Like, I was in a country where everybody was the same, everybody looked the same, so everybody treated everybody the same, but it's not the same. And you know, it's forcing me to even want to have those conversations with my cousins, want to have those conversations with my brother, wanting to have this conversation with my brothers, wanting to have those conversations with every young black person that I come across, even though it's not my place, and just wanting to speak about this and speak about like how people are being treated and how the color of your skin can cause somebody to decide that you're not worthy to do certain things or be in certain places. It's a painful reality, but it's something that we are in now. And one of the things that we have to realize is that until the battle is won, we have to prepare ourselves to be on the battlefield every day. What do I mean by that? I mean that parents have to keep having these conversations with their kids, no matter how difficult they are, and people have to keep speaking up on things like this. We can't be quiet, we can't be silent, which is why, like, I know my brother asked me the other day, he was like, why is everything happening? Like, why all of the outbursts, why all of the protests? I was like, the protest is necessary. This has gone on for way too long. People have been harassed for way too long. People have been suppressed for way too long. It's gone on too long. Like, it has to stop. Speak up. We have to have our voices heard. It's very, very important. And to any parents, anybody watching this right now, I know personally I've taken it upon myself to be having more conversations with my brother about things like consent, about things like respecting women, and about things like how he carries himself, how he approaches women, and how he speaks about women. I know that most of the time we like to leave these conversations to our parents. You know, our parents are supposed to be, but no, like, as a young woman having a brother, I want to also be part of the people held accountable when it comes to the things that he does, the things that he says, and how he behaves towards people. I'm also responsible for that. Like, I can't leave everything to my parents. So sometimes I would have conversations with him like, okay, do you know what consent is? Do you know what it means for this and this to happen? And we need to be more open about those conversations for there to be any change. So it's not just for other people, it's not just for your parents to speak about. If you know about these things, if you understand these things, teach them to your younger siblings, because they're going to go out there into the world and they're going to make the mistakes that you wish they hadn't made, mistakes that could have been avoided if you had just gotten over the fact that those things were supposed to be your parents' job. It is all of our jobs to educate people concerning these things so that our society can do better, our society can be better. Of course, these past few weeks have been hard, not only because of the virus but also because of the other pandemic, racism that has existed and that has been ravaging the entire country, and particularly concerning the death of George Floyd. We're praying for his family, praying for his kid, and just praying that God will comfort them. But watching that video, I don't know, it's just like it did something to me. Just like, I had experienced things like this before. I had been in situations where like people had treated me a certain kind of way, looked at me a certain kind of way, made me feel a certain kind of way just because I was a black person. And this is the thing, like, if you're African, you're still black. When you come here, they're not going to say, oh, you're African, you're not. Nobody cares. It's just the color of your skin. They don't care. All they see is like what you look like. They got so hurt because I just felt like why would you do that to another person? Like, why would you feel like it's okay to take another person's life? Honestly, there is force and then there is just inhumane behavior. Like, all of that restraint did not need to happen for them to put him in the back of the police car and just let actual justice be served. But they took justice into their own hands that day, and they basically set the entire world on fire by what they did. And they set my heart on fire because I was in so much pain, I was hurt, I was angry. And so like I went off of that feeling and I had a Bible study later that day. And I went to Bible study and everything was cool. And then of course, like, I have friends that are not people of color, friends that are white, and it was a Bible study meeting and we were on the phone call and everything was cool. And then I saw them and then I just began to feel so angry and I just began to feel so sad. And it was just like, I can't be here right now. Like, I can't be on this Zoom call in this Bible study with you guys right now because of how much pain I feel. Like, somebody that looks like you did something like this to somebody that looks like me. I felt angry. I felt like I was betraying black people. And this is just honest talk. Like, this is just me being honest. I had this conversation with my group leader later afterwards, and we talked a little bit about it. So it's not like as if I'm sharing something that she doesn't know about. So I felt angry and I felt sad. I just wanted to leave the Zoom call, and I was just like, do I even really want to associate with people that are not black anymore? Do I really want them in my life? Do I really want all of that? Like, I felt like almost like I would never look at another white person the same again. And thank God for the Holy Spirit and thank God for the work that he does in our lives. Like, he just came and he asked me like a question, and he was just like, do you see how this is how racism starts? Somebody looks at another person that did nothing to them and assumes that because they look this certain way, then they are capable of this and such things. And I just decided, instead of getting off of that Zoom call, that I was going to stay on the Zoom call. I know we continued doing Bible study, and I expressed to these women, because there were other girls, white girls, on the call with me, and I expressed to them how heavy my heart was and how much pain I was in, and I could see it in their eyes. I could see that they felt pain. I could see that they felt my anger. I could see that they were upset. I could see that they were my allies, not my enemies. And honestly, if I had decided to do what I initially wanted to do in getting off of the Zoom call and deciding to just not continue with the Bible study, I wouldn't have been able to see that, to see the fact that people are much more than what they look like. And I would have had that seed planted in my heart, that evil seed of deciding that somebody is so and so because they look like so and so, to talk about it. I remember I talked about it. I called up my group supervisor and I said, I feel a certain way and this and this. And we had the conversation, we had the open conversation. She told me, she was like, sometimes she doesn't know what to say. Sometimes she doesn't know how to address it. Sometimes she doesn't know how to have those conversations because she doesn't want to offend. She doesn't want to make you feel certain way. She doesn't want to trigger certain emotions, certain behavior, certain feelings. And I told her, I was like, silence is not how to get over things like this. We have to be able to have open, honest conversations. And honestly, sometimes silence, many times actually, silence makes it feel like makes it feel like you're on the side of the oppressor instead of the oppressed. And I had that open conversation with her. She's much older than me. I had the open conversation with her, and I told her, I said, we need you to be our allies. And if you're going to be our allies, we need you to speak up. We need you to not be afraid. So like, I spoke to her about that, and the next thing that she did was that she reached out to everybody, and on the next Zoom call she had us pray about the situation. And I respected that and I appreciated that, and it was because I was able to have that open, honest conversation with her. Silence is avoiding the issue, and avoiding the issue will never make it stop hurting. Like, if you have cancer and you ignore it, it doesn't mean that cancer is not going to kill you. It just means that you ignored it. I've had a lot of my friends that are white text me and check up on me, pray for me, speak up with me, and apologize even for the silence, and just like take up arms with me. We are all in this together. Like, we need to protect ourselves from the enemy making us against each other. Educate people, call them out when they are wrong, call them out when they are doing things that they're not supposed to do, but be respectful about it. And protect your hearts, my Black brothers and sisters. Protect your hearts against the evil of racism, because it takes root and you don't even know that it's taking root in your heart. So yeah, it's our responsibility what is going to happen going forward from here. It is our responsibility who is going to become better because of these conversations that we are having. Not everybody is going to be able to attend the protest, but what you can do in your little community with people around you is important as well. Not everybody is going to be on the front lines. Not everybody is going to be speaking out on social media, because we all have our different lanes and we can all function in different aspects. You can do your own part, speaking out with people around you, with your white friends. And of course, there's going to be that person that decides that despite everything that you said, despite everything that you've done, they still want to be racist and still want to still decide that they want to not be an ally in this battle. And I don't know, yeah, it's going to hurt and it's going to be painful, because we want to be together in this thing, but not everybody's going to be on our side. But at the same time, we have to guard our hearts against this disease, guard our hearts against hatred, because hate is not the way to get over hate. Martin Luther King, that was basically the message he was passing across, that hate does not combat hate. Only love can do that. So even in our fighting, even in our being on the front lines, we have to remember that we are fighting with armor around our hearts. We are standing on those front lines, talking to people and educating people about the evil of racism, and at the same time protecting ourselves from becoming racist ourselves. So yeah, that's like literally all I had to share, and I just pray for every single person going through so much pain and hurt right now. Don't be afraid to take time for yourself. Don't be afraid to take time off of social media, because taking all of these things on a daily basis is actually very debilitating to your spirit and your soul. You need time away from these things. Even as much as you are fighting, as much as you're speaking out, you need time away from these things in order to be able to breathe and refresh yourself and get back to a place where you are mentally ready and you are mentally capable of having these conversations again. Yeah, that is basically the conversation I wanted to have. You can do your own small parts in every single way, and don't forget to guard your heart, because out of it flows all the issues of life. And yeah, that's all I have for you guys today. And I will also go back to creating never stops. I will go back to creating when I feel like the world is ready again, and when I feel like it's the right time. And I just appreciate you guys' patience with me, and I appreciate you so much for tuning into this channel once again. Don't forget to subscribe, like, leave a comment, and please, until we see next time, stay healthy, stay safe, stay happy, and try to stay above everything. I know it's hard, but my heart is with you, and you have all my love as always. I will see you guys next time on my channel.